Good morning, everyone. My name is Elliot Payne. I'm the president of Minneapolis City Council. Before we convene our meeting, we have presentations of honorary resolutions. We are pleased to welcome guests to this space to share in these presentations before taking up our agenda. First up is a resolution recognizing March as Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month in the city of Minneapolis, and I will invite up Council Members Jenkins and Councilmember Ellison.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Jenkins, and I'm the council member for Ward 8. And I would love to welcome School Board President, Vice President Kim Ellison here with me, and some other folks from the MS Society. And we have a resolution this morning just honoring and creating awareness. This is Multiple Sclerosis Week, and multiple sclerosis impacts millions of people across the United States. So we want to make sure that we are doing what we can to understand, to support, and to advocate for people living with multiple sclerosis and other disabilities as well. So, resolution recognizing March as Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month in Minneapolis. Whereas multiple sclerosis is a neurological disease of the central nervous system affecting 2.8 million people worldwide, including 1 million people in the United States, which is double the original estimate. And whereas the National Multiple Sclerosis Society reports that more than 15,000 Minnesotans live with MS, and that the disease generally strikes people in the prime of life, between ages of 20 through 50. And the cause and course is often debilitating symptoms of MS remain unknown and no cure currently exists. And whereas the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has been committed to 79 years to a world free of MS, heightening public knowledge about and insight into the disease. And
whereas funds raised to the national And whereas since 1946, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has been a driving force of MS research and relentlessly pursuing prevention, treatments, and a cure, and has invested more than $1 billion in groundbreaking research. And whereas funds raised through the National Multiple Sclerosis Society fuel over $30 million in annual investments for more than 200 new and ongoing MS research projects at the best medical centers, universities, and other institutions throughout the U.S. and abroad, leading to many breakthroughs in the treatments of MS. And whereas stopping MS in its tracks, restoring what has been lost, and ending MS forever is the mission of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and one that all Americans and Minnesotans should support.
And whereas the city of Minneapolis recognizes the importance of finding the cause and cure of MS and expresses its appreciation for the dedication that the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has shown towards creating a world free of MS. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council do hereby recognize March 2025 as Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month in the City of Minneapolis, and that the 35W Bridge be lit in orange on the evening of March 14th, and further, through March 9th through the 15th, 2025, be observed as Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week, and we commend this observation to all of our residents. And I noticed that other buildings are being lit in orange downtown as well. So I'm going to offer the school board vice president opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you for this resolution. I have been living with MS for over 20 years, and I just want to say that it's really important to understand what multiple sclerosis is, and understanding that it affects different people differently, and then even within the same person, me standing today is no guarantee that I will be standing tomorrow. But one thing my neurologist likes to say is, if you know one person with MS, you know one person with MS. It's that variable for everybody. And I just want to encourage folks with MS or any chronic disease to find something that works for you. For me, it's swimming. And I think it's really important to make sure that you take care of yourself, whether you have a disease or not. So thank you for recognizing multiple sclerosis today.
Thank you, Kim. Kathleen, would you like to share a few words on behalf of the MS Society?
I would love to. Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilmember Jenkins, Councilmember Ellison, the rest of the council, and the mayor. Thank you for recognizing multiple sclerosis and awareness and the critical importance of awareness. I also want to thank you for your commitment to nonprofit work across this state. I like to quote Senator Wellstone and say, we all do better when we all do better. And we can do better when we know what's going on and accompany one another in the journeys that we have, whether it's through chronic disease or anything else. So thank you for that. If I would encourage people to visit the National Multiple Sclerosis Society's website, nationalmssociety.org, for resources, information, ways to get involved. And if you really want to know what living with MS is like, visit msendswithus.org, where you can hear people living with MS tell MS what they really think about it. So thank you again, and thank you all, listeners and viewers, for helping to increase awareness.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I will just say that disability justice is a cause that we should all be fighting for, because at some point in life, all of us will experience some form of disability. You might need reading glasses, you might need a hearing aid, you might need a cane or a scooter like I and some of my friends who live with multiple sclerosis do. But we all will be impacted by a disability, temporary and or permanent. So this is all of our fight, and I appreciate you guys joining. And one thing that you didn't mention is that the Walk for MS is coming up.
Yes, it is.
This May.
That's right.
And I encourage you all to support those efforts as well.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We should squeeze in for a photo, you guys.
Sure. Come on this side. Yep. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Andrea Jenkins, good to see you as well. Nice to see you. Hey, Bob, how are you?
Thank you. I'm Mary.
Hi,
It's nice
Mary.
to meet you.
Great to meet you. Thanks for being here. We're gonna go through here. Yeah. How you doing, sir?
Next, we have a resolution recognizing Ramadan with author Councilmember Osman.
Good morning, everyone. Today we are here to recognize the holy month of Ramadan, whereas the holy month of Ramadan is observed by Muslims worldwide as a time of fasting, prayer, reflection, and community. This holiday begins and ends with the appearance of the crescent moon, and whereas Ramadan is also a time of generosity, service, with individuals and organizations coming together to support those in need throughout acts of charity and kindness.
Whereas, during Ramadan, Muslims practice fasting between sunrise and sunset. This serves as a practice of self-discipline, spiritual growth, and empathy for those facing hunger and hardship. And, whereas, the call to prayer and the breaking of fast, or iftar, are important traditions that bring families, neighbors, and faith communities together in observance of this sacred time. And
Whereas Minneapolis is home to a diverse and growing Muslim population, including one of the largest Somali and East African communities in the nation, who contribute to the cultural and economics of the city. And whereas interfaith and cross-cultural gatherings during Ramadan strengthen the city's commitment to inclusivity, understanding, and respect for all religious traditions. And
whereas in times of uncertainty and division, it is more important than ever to uphold the values of compassion, solidarity, and mutual respect that Ramadan embodies. And whereas this year, Ramadan will begin at sunset on February 28th and continue for a full lunar month, concluding with the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council recognizes and honors the holy month of Ramadan, extends its best wishes to all those who are observing, and reaffirms its commitment to fostering a welcoming and inclusive city for people of all backgrounds and faiths.
This month has been a blessing personally to me and to entire Muslim community in city of Minneapolis. It's a time to reflect, and fasting brings a lot of joy and health, and family coming together and breaking fasting together. So thank you, council members, and I will pass it to Councilmember Chowdhury.
thank you. and thank you to my Muslim colleagues. I am extremely grateful to be here for another Ramadan. It is a really, really important month, not only for our Muslim community, but just our communities in general in Minneapolis. This is a time where I really love that in the city of Minneapolis, people put up lawn signs that say, wishing our Muslim neighbors a blessed Ramadan. I appreciate when our community centers fill up with people to gather and break bread from across the different faiths, ethnicities, religions, and groups to come and understand one another. I have so much gratitude for our Muslim community that in this month is really reflecting on those who are less fortunate than them and engaging in self-discipline and spiritual growth, especially when we're in a housing crisis in the city of Minneapolis, or there are wars happening across abroad that are taking so much from other Muslims and other people in our shared world. A message that I do want to share, and I think it's really important to share this Ramadan, is that a report released by the Council on American Islamic Relations this last week said that there were over 8,658 complaints regarding anti-Muslim and anti-Arab hate incidents in this last year, representing a 7.4% rise that in a single year. That was the highest number since the group began compiling data in 1996. I think that's really startling, and I think our community should take that as a note that we have to lean in on combating hate in the city of Minneapolis and around the world, and that Islamophobia isn't something that is back of mind. It's really present right now in the United States, and it's going to take all of us to combat it. I know the job that I took on as a Muslim elected official. I know my colleagues know the job that they took on and the hate that they'd face. And I've experienced it my whole life, and it's not really about me, but I know when I experience hate as a Muslim elected official, when I get comments or messages, it impacts the Muslim men, women, and people in the city of Minneapolis. They look to us as a representation, and they look to our neighbors to stand up for them. And the statistic I'm not fearful of. I think it's something that we can take on, and I think this council is a representation of this. We're a caucus of 4 Muslims on a city council across different ethnic backgrounds. We all speak different languages, and that is amazing. That is something to have so much pride in. I think we have the most Muslims on any city council in the nation. I know I also want to address the elephant in the room. We were going to have a community iftar tonight. We're not going to, as per the advice of our city attorney. There's a lot to unpack there, but won't do that here. But I will say that as a general announcement, we're going to work towards postponing and doing an event with community partners and feedback from hearing from our neighbors and community members to do an interfaith iftar. Not in this capacity, but we are not going to stop what we were going to do in breaking bread and being a part of bringing our communities together. And I thank my Muslim council members for being a part of this, the council members who have been in allyship with us, and all of the neighbors who reached out just in the last 24 hours. And I am just so grateful to be here for another Ramadan. And this is also probably going to be our last Ramadan as 4 Muslim council members. As Councilmember Ellison, this is his last term. So big shout out to you. We'll pass it over to Councilmember Ellison with that.
I'll keep it brief. That was great. Thank you, guys. A couple of years, in years past, doing something like this probably didn't even feel all that politically charged. And somehow in this environment, it feels way more politically charged to stand up here and just say, have a blessed Ramadan, and sort of read the resolution. And, I think that that's a signifier of how things have really regressed and how acceptance and tolerance in our city has really regressed. But I'm really proud in my 8 years of the not just the interfaith coalition that we've been able to build during the month of Ramadan, but the ways in which I've been able to connect with my colleagues over the years of all faith backgrounds to really understand how we stand together, how we're stronger together, and this will be my last time being here and having to endure fasting with you people. But no, it's to the extent that I've been able to grow and mature and increase my level of like calm and hopefully wisdom. You always hope for that. Ramadan's been a part of that for me since I've been in this institution, and all of you guys have been a part of that process for me, and been very accommodating to us over the years. And so, any hiccups we'll get over, and we will figure out how to make sure that we can serve our community best and that we can honor our community in an interfaith way. And, and I just want to hold up what my colleague said about it. It is really difficult to fast when you think about, I think the word solidarity is in the resolution. And when you stand in solidarity with people all over the world of all faith backgrounds, but certainly of the Muslim faith, it's hard to know that while you are going through your fast in a safe place, regardless of increased hate crimes, there are people who are facing bombardment. There are people who are facing constant fear for their life, even as they practice their fast and their discipline and go through the motions. Some of us do this fast and we live privileged lives. And some people, but the poor still fast, and people living in war zones still fast. And so, freedom to the people and the genocide in Gaza, and thank all those who are standing in solidarity with us. That's it.
Thank you, everyone, for those presentations. At this time, I'm going to call this regular meeting of the City Council for March 14th to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Present.
Councilmember Chavez.
Present.
Councilmember Vita.
Present.
Councilmember Ellison.
Here.
Councilmember Koski.
Present.
Councilmember Wansley.
Present.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Present.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Present.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Present.
Councilmember Cashman.
Present.
Councilmember Osman.
Present.
Vice President Shugtai.
Present.
President Payne.
Present.
There are 13 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. Before we begin the meeting, I want to offer a friendly reminder to all members and staff that this meeting is broadcast live to enable greater public participation. The broadcast includes real-time captioning as a further method to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and clarity of their comments. With that, the agenda for today's meeting is before us. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Present. Or aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and the agenda is adopted. The next item is acceptance of minutes from our regular meeting of February 27th. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and those minutes have been accepted. Finally, we have the referral of petitions, communications, and reports to proper committees. May I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins. Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shogtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries, and those matters have been referred. The next order of business is the presentation of reports from our standing committees. Those reports are taken in alphabetical order, beginning with the report of our Administration and Enterprise Oversight Committee, which will be presented by that committee's chair, Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, President Payne. The Administration and Enterprise Oversight Committee is bringing forward 12 items. The first is a bid for construction of a valve vault around Minneapolis and Golden Valley water mains. Number 2 is a bid for construction of the first phase of the biochar production facility. 3 is a contract with FCC Environmental Services Minnesota, LLC, for the operation of the city's Southside Municipal Solid Waste Transfer Station. 4 is a contract with Mitre, LLC, for advertising services for the Health Department. 5 is a contract amendment with Meyer Contracting, Inc. for the Hennepin Ave South Street Reconstruction Project. 6 is a contract amendment with Auto Truck Service Co., Inc. for collision and mechanical repair. Number 7 is a contract amendment with Short Elliott Hendrickson, Inc. for engineering and design services for the Minneapolis Highway Safety Improvement and Safe Routes to School projects. 8 is a contract amendment with Native American Community Development Institute for fiscal agent services for the American Indian MOU for Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors. 9 is a contract extensions with various vendors for customized safety training and training services. 10 is a legal settlement, John Shanahan v. City of Minneapolis. 11 is a gift acceptance from the Coalition of Large Public Housing Authorities for lodging and conference registration. And 12 is a 2025 Urban Scholars Program funding contract from partner organizations. So with that, I'll stand for questions and move approval of all items.
Councilmember Wansley has moved approval of the committee's report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shogtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries, and the report is adopted. The next report is from our Budget Committee, and that report will be presented by that committee's chair, Vice President Chogtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Budget Committee is bringing forward one item today, which is a passage of resolution and approving policies and procedures for the 2025 Local Board of Appeal and Equalization. I'll move approval of this item.
Vice President Chogtai has moved approval of the Budget Committee's report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins. Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shogtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries, and the report is adopted. Next, we'll have the report from our Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee, which will be given by that committee's chair, Councilmember Osman.
Thank you, President Payne. Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee will be bringing 12 items today on the council. Item 1 is approving a liquor license, limited entertainment for Trapico. Item 2 is approving an imposition of operating condition on 22 rental dwelling license and adopting the finding of fact, conclusion of law, and final recommendation. Item 3 is granting in parts and denying in part an appeal from Catherine Hill for a variance appeal of the property located at 401 33rd Avenue North. Colleagues, we received finding of the fact from the City Attorney Office in our email, and those have been added to the LIMS file. Item 4 is considering a variance appeal from Traver B for a variance appeal for the property located at 241 5th Avenue North. This item was sent forward without recommendation. Item 5 is deny an appeal submitted by Joel Albers regarding HPC decision to approve demolition the property located at 3501 Hiawatha Avenue. Item 6 is approving 2 liquor licenses. Item 7 is approving 11 license renewals. Item 8 is approving a legislative directive regarding the city tenant relocation assistance program. Item 9 is authorizing contract with MnDOT and Good Space Morals for a public art on Hiawatha Lake Bridge. Item 10 is a passage of resolution accepting, authorizing 2024 fall brownfield grants. Item 11 is a passage of resolution approving a guidelines for the Bridge Fund Dance Program. And lastly, item 12 is a passage of resolution approving the budget and continue operation for the government program at the McPhail Center for Music. With that, I will move approval all these items except item 4, which I will pull aside for a separate vote. Thank you, Council President.
Councilmember Osmond has moved approval of the report minus item number 4. Is there any discussion on the remainder of the report? Councilmember Rainville.
Mr. President, I'm in line for number 4.
Gotcha. Councilmember Cashman, same.
I actually wanted to speak to a couple other items on the
Go ahead.
consent agenda. So first of all, just want to congratulate Tropico on their liquor license in the 7th Ward. This building, the Kagerneck building, has undergone a real transformation in the past year and is now hosting a gallery and now has this Colombian cocktail bar. And, it was quite the journey for these new entrepreneurs to get to this point. So I'm really excited for them to have this. And wanted to also just speak to number 11, the Bridge Fund for Dance program. These are the guidelines that grant program will be supporting the artists the dance community that's been working out of the Kohl's Center, which, as we know, closed last year, and we're in the process of getting back up into operating condition. So really excited that this has come forward, and always grateful for the Arts and Cultural Affairs Department for championing artists in our community as a really strong revitalization strategy.
Councilmember Ellison.
Just wanted to briefly, I highlighted this at committee, but I want to highlight it here. Item number 9, which is the Good Space Murals Public Art Project. And of course, want to, thank, this is going to be a significantly large mural. You guys know that I'm a former mural painter. I never worked with Good Space as an organization, but some of the artists who run it, were certainly around when I was starting early in my career. So it's cool to see them taking on projects that are really massive in this way. And it's such a come up for those artists and for us to be able to contract with them and have them do this mural in conjunction with MnDOT. And then in addition, just want to really highlight Mary Altman. Mary Altman has been, doing big things at the city. All the art you see out, all the public art you see out in the community, I won't say all of it, but Mary has had something to do with so much of the public art we have seen out in community. And so I think that, her good work continues here by shepherding these kinds of projects along. And so I think it's always important for us to highlight the ways in which staff, who maybe sometimes are a little undersung, are making our city such an awesome and beautiful place. So thanks to Mary.
Seeing no one else in queue, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the report minus item number 4.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osmond.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai is absent. President Payne.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and those items are adopted. Next, we will take up item number 4, and I will recognize Councilmember Osmond.
I will pass it to Councilmember Cashman or Rainville.
Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you.
Microphone.
Thank you. Councilmember Cashman, I have this, and please, council members, speak up as well. This is a very unique building that is connected by a utility corridor over an alley. It presents a lot of practical difficulties for the signage. We had a great discussion at committee about this, and that's why it was forwarded without recommendation. We had to give our attorneys time to look into this a little deeper, and I see Attorney Fussy out there, so thank you very much for all your help in this. But this is a company that has 150 jobs that wants to move into the North Loop. They want to put a signage, small sign up on a building away from Washington. And I went to the neighborhood group meeting where they talked about this, and they have agreed that this is not intrusive. There are many, many signs like this along Washington that have been grandfathered in. And I promise all my colleagues that Councilmember Cashman and I will, going forward, will work with our staff to make sure that this does not ever happen again, that our rules state clearly that this type of signage is allowed rather than having to go through this process. So thank you.
Councilmember Ellison.
I welcome Councilmember Cashman going first, if you prefer.
Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, President Payne. I just wanted to formally make the motion to grant the appeal based on the findings of fact which are in front of us here today. And there's a copy for each of you. Summarizing it, practical difficulties do exist based on the skyway that connects the building for mechanical equipment. Secondly, they propose to use the property in a reasonable manner. It tells you the square footage of the sign that's proposed, and the proposed variance will not alter the essential character of the locality or be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the vicinity. Thank you.
Councilmember Cashman has moved approval of the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you. I had a chance to look over our colleagues' work, and it is with a lot of sadness that I am going to say that I can't support this today, but I do want to explain why. And I do hope that my colleagues will join me, although, I get that when we talk about signage downtown, it's not the most urgent matter that we deal with. So I can acknowledge that. But when it comes to zoning and when it comes to the rules and how we apply them, I think that it would be a bad precedent for us to proceed in this way. This is a manner that this is an item that can be addressed through legislation. And I want to just take a quick primer to remind my colleagues that when we make decisions in this capacity, we don't make them as a legislative body the way that we do when we pass an ordinance. When we make decisions in this capacity, we make these decisions as a judiciary. We make this decision as judges, and we have to follow the letter of the law. And if we don't like the law, or we think it's a little arbitrary, or we think that we think that there should be an exemption for downtown for this sort of thing, then I think that we can go ahead and we have the discretion to make legislative changes to make this allowable. I think that an ordinance that would make this allowable could happen pretty quickly. But by making this decision by legislating in a quasi-judicial manner, we run the risk of setting precedents. And I know that sometimes it can feel like, what is one little sign at the top of one building? What precedent could that possibly set? And the short answer is that, and I think it's a scary answer, is that I don't know the full precedent that it could set. But if somebody was to come and make a proposal that had the same elements, the same building blocks as this one, and we said, actually, that is overreach. That we don't want to see that sign in that alley. We don't want to see. We don't think that this building that shares mechanicals constitutes one building. We do think it is two buildings. If we start to set that precedent, then I think that we weaken our ability to hold the line on things we wouldn't want to see. And I say that fully acknowledging that this is something that, at its face, not that big a deal to me, right? But that's not the way in which we get to make this decision. We don't get to make this decision at face value. Every quasi-judicial decision we make does set precedent. And so while these findings of facts, and my colleagues did their due diligence to go talk to the attorneys and put these findings of facts together, I do think, I actually feel like I have to ask that despite the fact that the attorney's office did put these findings together, the attorney's office's position still supports staff's original recommendation. Is that correct? And maybe Joel's welcome to come up.
Mr. Fussy, did you want to speak to that? And if you could just start by introducing yourself.
Certainly, Council President Payne, council members, Joel Fussy with the City Attorney's Office. What I would say is that the staff recommendation and the staff report in this matter has not changed. I don't believe that it's the City Attorney's role necessarily to support one view or the other. I will say in this matter, when it comes to variances in a lot of land use applications, there are some where there is an answer, I think, and that there is probably one supportable outcome. There are also a large amount of land use applications, and I believe this one would fall into it, where depending upon the differing views that the decision makers, which would be all of you, have with regard to the record in front of you, different conclusions could be made. In this case, with regard to the critical issue of practical difficulties and the uniqueness of the property. So I do believe that this is one of those scenarios where probably each decision set could be is legally defensible, but I would certainly state that the position of the staff with regard to this matter, who does make the recommendation, does remain with the staff report, and I think that's how I would frame the issue for you at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. So then I'll just conclude by saying this decision may hold up to challenge, but also this decision could face challenge. Why would we put ourselves through that when we could rewrite the ordinance? We have plenty of exemptions for things that are allowed downtown that are not allowed elsewhere. And then that decision wouldn't be subject to the same level of scrutiny, the same level of challenge. We could put this thing together with like duct tape, which I think is what this is doing, or we could make this thing a brick and mortar, cut and dry decision, which is what I think legislation would allow. I'll leave it at that.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. President. Really appreciate what you said, Councilmember Ellison. For me, when we were discussing this in committee, we were looking at like the Planning Commission's recommendation. Theirs was not to recommend to grant the variance. However, I do think it was worth us kind of taking a look at it, and I did share with Councilmember Cashman and Councilmember Rainville that coming together with some findings of fact was really important to me, and that's why I ultimately ended up supporting moving forward without recommendation. I know we have those finding of facts before us right now, but I do think it would be helpful if we could have Mr. Fussy come and kind of summarize the finding of facts just so it's in the public record for those that are following along. And then just to make sure that we all have a clear understanding of what we're looking at before. So through the chair, if that's all right.
Mr. Fussy.
Council President Payne, council members, the findings that are required for any variance are three-pronged, and they all center upon the concept of practical difficulties. And so that means it generally looks at the uniqueness or the unique circumstances that might exist at a property that might create challenges in complying with what the zoning ordinance requires on its face. And I think the staff report certainly recognizes that this is a unique property in terms of its shape, in terms of the structures that are on it, and in terms of the street frontage that is on it. There's one street on the primary wall which dead ends. There's another wall that is viewed as a primary wall under the zoning code, which is on I believe a one-way street. And then Washington Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare, certainly does not abut what would be classified as a primary wall under the basic tenets of the zoning code. The staff report speaks for itself, and it goes through that analysis, and it reaches the conclusion that there are essentially the other two primary walls that still could be utilized for signage in this matter. The findings that are proposed by the movements in this case put more weight into the uniqueness of the property configuration and some of the signage challenges that are present with the property. And then also give some weight to the reasonableness of the ask in terms of the sign size and its lighting are less intrusive and less bulky than would be allowed under the zoning code. So that also is a factor that weighs into the movement's position in this matter. But essentially it comes down to any person, individual council member sitting in a quasi-judicial capacity is to use their own judgment and their own experiences and values and ascertain what they see with regard to those findings. So ultimately, it's up to you to make the determination of whether you think the uniqueness of this property does equate to a practical difficulty and whether this ask is reasonable. As I said, I think it's one where it's maybe a close case. Generally, reviewing courts provide a great deal of discretion to localized land use decisions as long as there is a rational basis, a clear record, and findings discussing the decision that is made. I think that in either case, that standard would be met. Thank you.
Thank you. I have just one follow-up question for Mr. Fussy, and it's related to the comments that Councilmember Ellis had made. What is your analysis on should another variance come before us for signage on a non-primary building wall? Should the Planning Commission or City Council have to take that up, and should we take a different position of maybe denying a variance? What would the impacts of this action be in terms of setting precedents and impacting our ability in the future? And again, to localize land use decisions.
Thank you. And through President Payne, council members, the general rule actually is that these individual variance decisions do not set precedent. That being said, every applicant in the real world is going to look at similarly situated historical records or precedents, and it certainly could be brought up, it could certainly be pointed to. This is a very unique property. There's going to be slight differences within setup with regard to signage, primary walls, structures, bulkage. And so the general rule is that there isn't necessarily a hard and fast precedent that is set with regard to granting or denying of variances or conditional use permits. That being said, it is a factor. It can be used as a factor in arguments in the future, but it does not establish a bright line rule. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all my questions for you, Mr. Fussy. Really appreciate it. I'm just going to continue to listen to discussion that my colleagues have. For colleagues that were not on the Biz Committee, just to give you an understanding, this is to give signage that would say JP Morgan on this building wall that's there's no signage on it, and it's on a non-primary building wall, but it's to help wayfinding to where the parking is. So just giving a little bit more of a visual and for anyone else that's listening in.
Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, President Payne. Yeah, I have an opportunity to watch the quasi-judicial meeting as well, or biz meeting where this was discussed, and actually appreciate the findings of fact and recommendations for the Catherine Hill part being included, because in terms of that reference point of what precedent would we be setting and thinking through the subjective conditions where, people are asking you all for these variances. And in this case, I am trying to pair both this request being made by the requester for a parking lot to support JP Morgan. And then what I recall for Catherine Hill, it was very hard to watch that one where there also was asking for a variance is to support a vulnerable adult that was living with them. And my concern for sure, or what I would like to know from our city attorneys possibly, or even maybe quasi-judicial members, should the variance that council members Cashman and Rainville passed, just thinking of parity, is there a way to revisit the Catherine Hill's variance?
I'm happy to chime in. I mean,
Councilmember Ellison.
the two items are unrelated.
Okay.
And one of them we have taken up. But what I'll say is that when we were reviewing Catherine Hill's application, it was very difficult to stick to the letter of the law, because certainly there were a lot of circumstances that we're not allowed to consider in a quasi-judicial manner that came up during that meeting. And if we were not making the decision, if we were making the decision legislatively and not in a quasi-judicial manner, then I think that I would have wanted to give that applicant everything that they asked for. But we're making decisions in a quasi-judicial manner, and it would be irresponsible to do so. That's my position. And so, if we're going to say that the rules are flexible for J.P. Morgan Chase, then I'll put on the table that I would move to reconsider Catherine Hill's and say, if the rules don't matter for J.P. Morgan Chase, then the rules shouldn't matter for Catherine Hill, and the rules maybe just shouldn't matter. That's my position.
And thank you for that clarification. I understand they're separate matters. I was just confused as to why this then was included with item number 4, the finding and facts for Catherine Hill, if that was not attached to, I see some members shaking their heads. Did the authors provide this, or did staff just provide copies? Oh, okay, great. Oh, okay, to give context for that. Okay. No, you provided that clarification. And I also won't be supporting the variance, but I am interested too in looking at if we're adjusting standards or making them more flexible, revisiting this if there is a pathway to do so for the Catherine Hill variance.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, President Payne. I guess I would just comment that I think the reason why we have an appeals process is so that we can consider the unique circumstances that any applicant is facing. If we're only going to just follow the rule of law, then there's no point in having a variance process to consider the unique circumstances that a particular land use or business use in some cases, or homeowners, as in the case of Catherine Hill. There is no reason for us to have a variance process or these judicial hearings if we are not going to use our own experiences, discretion, to try to understand the uniqueness of that situation and then apply the rules as we see fit. So, I think each of these cases are individual cases when they come before us, and we have to deal with them as such. So I will be supporting this variance. I think this is a very unique situation where a organization should have the opportunity to at least identify themselves as most businesses do, and to help their clients find their location. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. So I have 2 points here. First is to address Councilmember Walmsley's concern that the applicant for item number 3, Catherine Hill, did not leave here satisfied. And Councilmember Vita, this is in your ward. You came and spoke, and perhaps you could explain to all of us how pleased Catherine was when she walked out of these chambers.
Councilmember Rainville, I really do appreciate you calling on me for this, but I don't want to politicize this matter. This was a very difficult thing for Catherine Hill and her mom and their family to come down to City Hall, be very personal about what they're facing in their house with their family in this neighborhood. I personally see this as two different matters. I don't appreciate it being brought up as a counter to something else. If anyone watched that hearing, they saw this family struggling. I worked with this family over a series of months to make sure that they got what was legal and what was best for this entire community, not just their house. And like Councilmember Jenkins said, these issues for me, I face them as they come before us, and I do not want to over-politicize this issue, pit this issue with this family, this very serious issue about access against this matter that's before us. I don't even know why we're talking about Catherine Hill's family right now. I really don't. It's getting ugly because these families are watching this meeting right now, and I'm sure they're concerned about what we're doing up here on a matter that's been voted on already.
Thank you, and I only mentioned that because it was brought, I did not bring it up, someone else did. But we viewed that as independent and we helped that family. All I'm asking is that we help this business so they get the signage. If any one of you had a business going in your ward that had 150 people joining the workforce, taking up empty space in a building, I would support that. So I'm asking you to support this for the ward that I represent. Thank you.
Sorry, I stepped away. It sounds like I'll just do a reminder, focus on the topic of item number 4, the variance. Councilmember Osman.
Thank you, Council President. I think there's a pathway for J.B. Morgan to have the sign, and that is through the ordinance. I talked to the staff are working on, and they are the one who is actually bringing forward for a change. So this kind of condition is not allowed to do that. And if J.B. Morgan can wait until June, it could be a pathway. So we support the businesses. We want them to operate and continue doing great work, but we got to stick the fact. And what we have seen, what I have seen during the argument, that sticking the fact is the most important thing. But as I say, there's a pathway to have J.B. Morgan have the sign, and that's just waiting a little bit longer and going through the process. Thank you.
Seeing no one else in queue, Councilmember Ellison, did you? I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
No.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Nay.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
No.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
No.
Vice President Shugtai.
Nay.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 8 ayes and 5 nays.
That item carries, and the full report is adopted. Without objection, Vice President Chugtai, would you like to be recorded on the remainder of the report as an aye?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Clerk? Great. The next report is from the Committee of the Whole, which will be presented by that committee's chair, Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee of the Whole will be bringing forward 3 items to this council meeting. Item number 1 is approving 5 appointments to the Capital Long Range Improvement Committee. Item number 2 is approving the settlement of all claims for attorney's fees and costs asserted against the city in litigation matter of Pro-Life Action Ministries versus the City of Minneapolis. And item number 3 is amending Council Action 2024A0867 by adding updates to litigation related to the U.S. Department of Justice versus the City of Minneapolis and Minneapolis Police Department. I'll move approval of all items.
Councilmember Chavez has moved approval of the committee's report. I see Councilmember Osman raising a question. Yes, we did accidentally skip over climate and infrastructure. We'll come back to it.
Sure. No, this is for Councilmember Ellison.
Councilmember Ellison.
I wanted to, maybe I should have clicked on the clerks. This I have never clicked on priority motion before, so it's new to me. But I wanted to see if I could make a motion to reconsider an item.
On what?
I would like to make a motion to reconsider item number 3 on the biz agenda.
Item number 3 on the Council Member Ellison is making a motion to reconsider item number 3.
Second.
There's a second on that. Mr. Clerk, do you want to give some guidance on?
The motion to reconsider the item was adopted unanimously, so any member could make the motion to reconsider. If it passes by a simple majority vote, then that matter is back before the body to be considered again.
Okay. Councilmember Ellison has made a motion to reconsider item number 3. It's been properly seconded. Councilmember Ellison, did you want to?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak on this, and I apologize in advance. But this is the Catherine Hill item, and I don't mean to politicize it. I truly don't. But I do think that there is. I do think it's important for us to think about our decision, which is a decision that I do agree with when we made it in committee. I think that we've got a parcel here that is not in compliance on several levels, and the reasons for that are understandable, but the pathway for the remedy for them, the pathway to a remedy for them, was not through the quasi-judicial process. And so we told them there were certain things that they could not have. We told them that there were certain things that they could have through the quasi-judicial process. And then we directed staff to work with them, especially on the fence height matter, to go through a proper channel for them to access increased fence height, because we were convinced that they needed it. This just wasn't the proper avenue for them to attain it. That being said, I think that we're in a situation where there are findings that allow for them to get certain things increased. They have a substandard lot size. They have a vulnerable adult living there. And if we're not going to sort of take a principled stance that people got to follow the ordinance and they got to go through the proper channels, I don't know why we would hold that standard for Catherine Hill and not J.P. Morgan. And so I think based on the findings that exist there already, I'm just going to go ahead and extend to instead of granting in part and denying in part, to grant them their full menu of requests and appeals.
Mr. Clerk?
Just want to point out, I appreciate that he has foreshadowed the motion he intends to make, but the motion we're voting on now is just simply to reconsider that matter.
Okay, so the first procedural vote will be to reopen the matter for reconsideration, and then Councilmember Ellison can make that motion.
Then any member of the body would be able to make a motion.
Sure. So on the motion to reconsider item number 3, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
And I'll just remind, because we don't do this frequently, it only requires a majority vote to pass the reconsider. If the reconsider motion passes, then that matter is back before the body. Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
No.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai.
No.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes and 2 nays.
That carries, and this item is open for reconsideration. Councilmember Ellison, would you like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Microphone.
I'll go ahead and make the motion as foreshadowed. But I will note that I make this motion, A, because there are existing findings of fact that I think could extend to the motion that I'm about to make. And I also make this motion despite the fact that I don't think this is the best way for us to do business, because on principle, I just can't stand on making Catherine Hill follow the rules and not making J.P. Morgan Chase to follow the rules. That's my position. And so I feel like as we go forward, even in committee, that if quasi-judicials are going to be handled in this way, I'm probably going to stop speaking up on quasi-judicial matters altogether, because I just don't see how how we're able to maintain fairness and parity if we are going to be subject to community's input and those kinds of things. In my time in office, it was drilled. This is a different type of decision that you have to make, and that you got to back all of these decisions up, no matter how difficult the story being told is, with the facts on the ground. I don't think that the facts on the ground supported the decision that we just made in favor of J.P. Morgan Chase. What's worse in my mind is that this isn't to pick on J.P. Morgan Chase, but there's just a pathway for them. There just is. There's a legal pathway for them. And instead of taking it, we took this shortcut. So instead of requiring Catherine Hill to take the proper legal pathways, I'm proposing that we present her with a shortcut as well. And so that's the motion. I think in the previous motion, we were denying 1, granting 2, granting 3, and denying 4. And I would make the motion that we grant 1 through 4 on item number 3.
That motion has been made and seconded. I'll just remind folks, let's keep the topic to item number 3, variance appeal for Catherine Hill.
Mr. President,
Mr. Clerk.
Before you recognize someone else, Mr. Fussy is here, and while I appreciate the motion and the intent, I think in order to get the findings of fact that are required by law so that your attorneys can bring those forward for the record, so we're creating a significant record that backs up this decision, this matter should be referred back to the committee with that motion. That motion, as stated, to grant the appeal in whole, not in part, and to direct the attorney to draft the findings of fact that support that decision is the better motion. And then let that go to committee so that the attorneys have the time to work to draft those findings and bring that back in the next cycle. So I think I would ask if the maker of the motion, Councilmember Ellison, would be amenable to saying that's a direction back to committee as stated, that it is to grant in full the variance and to direct the attorney's office to create the findings of fact to support that.
With apologies to the attorneys, I will amend my motion.
All right. So your motion. Do you want to restate your motion, Councilmember Ellison?
Do the clerks feel like
this is a motion to refer back to the Biz Committee for further consideration of granting in full the variance and appeal issued by Catherine Hill, and to direct the attorney's office to prepare the findings of fact supporting that conclusion?
Correct.
And I need a second.
Second.
All right. Do we want to have any discussion on that? Councilmember Palmisano, you're in queue.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I really, really appreciate Councilmember Ellison's point here today. And I was assuming we'd be approving that other thing. Councilmember Ellison really changed my mind, and I appreciated what he was saying on it. I think we should all be careful of this. But given there are findings of fact here in 2 very different matters, I don't see it wise to go backwards and revisit others. Councilmember Ellison, you're making this point crystal clear. But I don't think we should be equivocating on all measures, on all things. I was with the council member on the other motion, but this going back and now revisiting things with that rationale is not good practice. I'll just leave it at that.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. President. I kind of just want to speak to the quasi-judicial, issues before us, right? Like the way in which we're taking them up in the Biz Committee. Councilmember Ellison, your point is very well taken. I would regard myself as someone, as a new member, as someone that's following what you're doing in terms of as a student of how to handle quasi-judicials, right? We had multiple quasi-judicials in our last Biz Committee. I do think an issue and a gap within our council in this moment is getting better training on how to handle these. As a new council member, I didn't get any orientation. I learned from you. I learned from our city attorneys. I learned on the fly in planning commissions. And I agree, we need to figure out how to do these, especially if you're not going to be here next year. We have to figure out a way to learn this. And I don't want you to stop speaking up in committee because those are our opportunities. I'm happy to support this, knowing that you and Councilmember Vita support this. And I think next committee could be a good opportunity for us to kind of see how that plays out in real time. And I also would love to work with you in figuring out how we can get this body better set to handle quasi-judicial matters and how to think about it in the terms of a judge versus a council member.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I do appreciate the conversation that we are having today regarding these concerns. If these were two same issues, a fence and a driveway, then I could really understand thinking about fairness, etc. But these are two separate issues. And so I can't support going back and reconsidering this item today. And you know, Councilmember Ellison spoke very eloquently about this issue in committee and actually convinced me to support it in that way. And I thought we had come up with a really good solution that the family seemed to be happy with. And Councilmember Ellison made that motion. So I'm just really unclear of what we're doing here today. I don't get it.
Councilmember Vita.
Chair, I'm just kind of feeling the same as Councilmember Jenkins. You know, I talked to Councilmember Ellison about this, and I worked with this family to come up with what I thought was a compromise. That's a word that came up a lot in our conversations with the family. And I just really don't like this, Councilmember Ellison. You know, you and I, we have a great relationship. We work on things for the North Side as a whole, and this doesn't feel like that. I don't know what 2 weeks will bring. And so, for me, there was a lot of security in having support from this council today, getting this family the resolve they needed, and now we're back to the drawing board again, and I don't know what is going to happen between now and the next 2 weeks, and I also don't know what I'm going to do to make sure that this family feels secure and safe in our decision-making about this issue in 2 weeks. I would prefer if you did withdraw, Councilmember Ellison. Thank you.
Councilmember Ellison.
Then I'll say this because I've got the council member of the ward who knows this family personally. So I'm gonna respect that above everything else. But I do want to address my supposed lack of clarity because I don't think it's present. I think I'm being very clear. I think that we need to stay. We either need to decide whether people have to follow the proper rules. And an appeals process, that came up. I'm glad that came up. In an appeals process, the judge hearing the appeal, and the attorneys can correct me if I'm wrong, don't get to use their discretion. They still have to make a determination within the facts to decide if the previous decision was improper. In the case of a previous item, the facts, we are deciding that staff's conclusions were improper. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't know how many other buildings in downtown or across the city share mechanicals. Have we accidentally redefined what one building versus two buildings is? We don't know. I don't know how many other circumstances would allow for a sign in a driveway. Have we just legalized signage in a driveway? We don't know. We may have. I'm seeing some doubts, but we may have just done that. What I'm saying is that if the rules have to apply to Catherine Hill, and I think they should. It was like hard hearing Councilmember Palmisano because I basically agreed with her, even though we're disagreeing, or even though we were going to be voting differently on this. But that's my rationale. That's my exact rationale. We cannot say that Catherine Hill, however harrowing her circumstances, has to follow the letter of the law and then turn around and say JP Morgan Chase doesn't, especially when we could offer JP Morgan Chase relief as soon as June, as early as June or July, with an ordinance change. Legislative versus judicial. This is a judicial matter. That's my point. At its face, I get it. I don't actually care. But if folks are wondering why I'm digging in so much on this issue, it's because I'm looking into the future and I'm asking myself, where else are we going to have inconsistency when it comes to quasi-judicial decisions? Because inconsistency always benefits J.P. Morgan Chase, and it never benefits Catherine Hill. That's my point. But I'll withdraw the motion.
Mr. President, the motion belongs to the body. If there's no objection, we could withdraw it, but we did have a proper motion and second to put this in front of the body. So if there's any objection, we can't withdraw.
I'll object to that.
Okay. So on the motion to withdraw, we still have to take a vote. Councilmember Chowdhury.
There's no motion to withdraw. What we have is the motion to refer this matter back. The maker of that motion said he'd like to withdraw, but it was already in possession of the body.
So we will take a vote on the motion to approve in full and
No, this is the motion to refer back to the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee the matter to consider the Catherine Hahn and grant a full, grant the appeal in full, grant the variance, and directing the attorney to prepare the findings of fact to approve that conclusion.
Okay, and priority motion, Councilmember Chowdhury has a question.
Thank you. I know now these items have been tied together, right? We're just kind of talking about them together.
We should focus on item number 3, the motion to refer back to committee.
I'll just say this. I am concerned about just what Councilmember Vita mentioned, like adding another 2 weeks for the family. Like that feels really concerning to me. And I think maybe perhaps this isn't the item that we need to reconsider based off of the debate that we had. And I think this is very clarifying, and I think it's good that we're having this debate, right? Like I think we're having a good discussion about it. So perhaps this isn't the item that we need to reconsider.
So Mr. Clerk, just to clarify, we are going to vote to refer this item back to committee for an opportunity to find a statement of fact. If that passes, this item will be disposed for today. If it fails, we will still have the item open on the table that we will have to dispose of, which could include passing the original motion.
Correct, and I do want to clarify, the motion we're sending back to the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee is not up for discussion on whether we pass it or not. The motion we're sending is this body is going to grant the full appeal requested by Catherine Hill. They are going to grant all the variances, and they are directing the attorney to create the findings of fact to support that. So at committee, it's simply to receive the findings from the attorney's office that support that outcome and send that back to this body at its next meeting.
Okay. On that, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
No.
Oh, point of clarification. What does I mean? What does an A mean?
An I means that you support sending this item back to the Business Committee so that the Business Committee can receive the draft findings of fact that support the conclusion that Catherine Hill's appeal be granted, that the variances be granted in full, and that the findings of fact be brought forward for final action by this body at the next meeting. So I'll start again. Is there any lack of clarification from the body on the motion? The outcome is that it comes back at the next council meeting to be granted in full. The attorney has 2 weeks to draft the findings of fact that support that conclusion.
And if this vote fails, we will still have the item on the table that a motion can be made.
Yes.
I have a question.
Councilmember Chavez.
Okay, I just want to make it clarify. So there was a motion to withdraw, but you can't withdraw the motion, correct?
Correct.
There wasn't a motion. He said he would withdraw. He didn't make a motion that was seconded. He said, I would withdraw. The motion already was in possession of the body. It had been moved and seconded. Once a motion is moved and seconded as stated by the presiding officer, it belongs to the full body. It can't be withdrawn if there's any objection. Council Vice President then objected.
If I can clarify this, if we want to get back to the original determination that it would be granted in part and denied in part, you would vote no. If you would like the full set of variances to be granted, you would vote aye, and it would come back at the next cycle.
Okay, but the author of the original motion has asked to withdraw it, so it makes sense.
But
to
it was
vote no.
objected. But it was objected.
I'm just saying out loud. I'm
Correct.
not asking procedurally. I'm speaking
Correct.
that Councilmember Ellison said he would withdraw. I think for me, I was supportive of that motion. Given that he has asked to withdraw it, I'm going to be voting no. I just want to clarify because I don't want to look like I'm double speaking for my votes.
There you go. All right. Are we? Any other questions?
Can we start all over?
Councilmember Rainville.
No.
Councilmember Chavez.
No.
Councilmember Vita.
No.
Councilmember Ellison.
No.
Councilmember Koski.
No.
Councilmember Wansley.
No.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Nay.
Councilmember Palmisano.
No.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
No.
Councilmember Cashman.
No.
Councilmember Osman.
No.
Vice President Shugtai.
No.
President Payne.
No.
There are 13 nays.
That fails, and item number 3 is on the table. I would entertain a motion to grant in parts and deny in parts according to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries, and now the full biz report has been adopted. Councilmember Palmisano, you're in queue.
I was going to speak before we voted, Mr. Chair. This was an interesting and notable detour, and I want to thank Councilmember Ellison for this. I think our colleagues learned a lot here today, but I caught your drift here from the beginning. Thanks.
Okay, now our next report is, Councilmember Chowdhury.
I appreciated the discussion that we had. I thought it was really clarifying, and I think it's important that we take heed of what Councilmember Ellison said. I would like to make a motion to reconsider item number 4 on the Biz Committee agenda.
Councilmember Chowdhury has made a motion to reconsider item number 4. Is there a second? There's a second. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
No.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
No.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Nay.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
No.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Nay.
There are 8 ayes and 5 nays.
That carries, and that item is open for reconsideration. Is there a motion? Councilmember Chowdhury.
I would, clerks help me make the motion if I'm not in order to make it, but I would like to make a motion. Deny the appeal in light of a potential legislative pathway to address the situation in whole rather than in just multiple different parts with a unknown scenario of setting precedent across the city of Minneapolis. I think this is the pragmatic and common sense way for us to handle this. I would entertain a second.
Second.
Councilmember Chowdhury has moved to deny the variance appeal, and that has been properly seconded. Councilmember Ellis.
Just hopping in to say that I support the motion for all the reasons previously stated, and I'm happy to be a part of any training. Staff's best equipped to do any trainings on quasi-judicials, but I'm happy to be a part of that and to work with my colleagues on why I feel the way I feel. I feel like this level of passion about it was instilled in me by previous Councilmember Lisa Goodman, who I saw make a lot of difficult decisions that she wouldn't have wanted to make, but she stuck to the facts in front of her, and it taught me to do the same. And so I'm happy to impart that on my colleagues as well. And I also just want to state, JP Morgan Chase will have a remedy by the summer for this. and it won't be a question, it won't be a debate, it'll be a matter of ordinance, and I trust that my colleagues are going to be in partnership with staff as they rewrite the signage ordinance, but we can make this possible in a really real and non-debatable way.
Vice President Chugtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be supporting this motion, but just a clarifying question, either for the clerk or Mr. Fussy. Do we does this motion to deny also need to include something about approving staff's initial findings on the matter?
Mr. Fussy.
Council President Payne, council members. That's subsumed in the motion, but I think for clarity, moving to adopt the staff recommendation would be appropriate with this motion.
Okay, thank you. And can I add that as a friendly amendment to Councilmember Chowdhury's motion? Does that need to be seconded?
If you want to formalize that in the form, as Mr. Fussy said, it's assumed, but if you want to actually make that motion, you should make a motion, get a second, we should do vote.
I'll make that motion then.
Second.
Okay. The motion is to deny the appeal and adopt the staff findings. And as properly seconded, Councilmember Rainville.
Clearly, I'm going to be voting against this. This is just plain vindictive, and this is very disappointing. So that's my opinion, and I'm stating it very clearly so you understand.
No, we can engage in this. What vindication am I seeking, Councilmember?
Councilmember Rainville, and then I'll recognize Councilmember Ellison. And please do not ascribe motives. Councilmember Ellison.
This is what I'll say. I have no interest in this sign. If you can prove that I have an interest in this sign, go ahead and prove it. But I have no interest in this sign. I have no grievance against downtown or any business downtown. So, and Councilmember Rainville, I'm especially disappointed and maybe even hurt to hear you say that, because I feel like I have always engaged you in good faith. I've always engaged you on the subject matter, even in disagreement. And if you can point to where my decision is not about the facts on the ground and is about something else, I invite it. I invite debate. I invite being challenged and pushed. And quite frankly, I was open to granting this. And through my discussions with you and through my discussions with staff, I came to the conclusion that it was not supportable. That's all. There should be nothing personal that you take from losing a debate with me. I will lose them to you, I'm sure. But there is no ill intent here. And as I've stated, when you and Councilmember Cashman rewrite the ordinance to make this sign allowable in what I and staff would say is the proper way, I will vote to approve this sign and maybe won't even have to, because it'll just be permissible. So I hope you rescind the personal attack on me. I would never assume that your disagreement with me was personal. And so I understand that you're frustrated by the decision that we're coming to today, but I did not come to this conclusion with any intent to embarrass you or JP Morgan Chase or the downtown council members or anything like that.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I want to state for the public that's following along, there is a clear pathway for this signage to happen. Frankly, I think this type of signage in this type of space would look good here. And since there were some engaging of personalities, I do feel like, as the person who brought forward the reconsideration and the motion, that I want to speak with clarity where I was at. In our committee, I heard out the appeal from the applicant. I heard from my council members. I had stated I needed finding of facts in order to support it. And honestly, today, like as we engage in debate, I voted in support of this because of the information that they brought. But the debate went further along and we got new information and there were real concerns. And as a new member to the city council and one that hopes to continue serving on the biz committee, I know the value of having institutional knowledge and trying to build it when you have it around. And I look towards colleagues like Councilmember Ellison, Councilmember Palmisano. I'm just paying attention to what members are saying in the body today. That's what informed my reconsideration, and that's how I'm making this decision. And I just want to make that very clear. Like, very happy to support signage here should we get to the place through a pathway that makes the most sense.
Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. When I use the word vindictive, I did not direct it towards you, Councilmember Owens. I said this motion was. So you jumped on me for something that was not true, and then we can hash that out later. We don't have to do it in front of TVs. But I said the motion was vindictive, not your action. So I am now hurt that you're accusing me of something I didn't do. So let's work this out like two human beings off camera. And again, as I said in my initial speech, I'm willing to work with Councilmember Cashman to make this right. But I am disappointed that we cannot send a company with 150 employees that wants to move into our city the message that they're being welcomed. So I will fast track this along with Councilmember Cashman.
With that, the motion to deny the appeal on item number 4 and adopt staff findings is on the table. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
No.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vito.
No.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
No.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
No.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
No.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Chugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 8 ayes and 5 nays.
That carries, and now the full biz report is adopted.
Mr. President, just to take a moment and say, I really appreciate Councilmember Ellison's very strong debate and points on this. Because this is a legislative body and you operate mostly in a legislative capacity, and I'm really speaking to what Councilmember Chowdhury brought forward, that the body has had a lot of turnover in the most recent years, and we have not, as staff, I'll take that, done a good job on training. There is a significant difference between you act in a legislative capacity and a quasi-judicial. So I appreciate Councilmember Ellison fighting for that principle. When you make a legislative enactment, you're essentially adopting policies to guide future decision-making. When you are in a quasi-judicial capacity, you are applying those principles of the policy to a specific decision, like a court. And so they are subject to very different principles and stringent standards. In a legislative capacity, there's a lot more flexibility in what you can and cannot do or consider for the reasons of your, the basis of your votes. And so I take this as we need to get some training for the body on quasi-judicial applications and actions, and we'll take that as a follow-up, but also wanted to just say, as much time as that took and how awkward it might have been, I think in the end it's good for the body to have that exercise. I've heard some of you talk about flexing muscles. This quasi-judicial muscle is one that the biz committee gets to flex more often. But when those decisions come to the full council, if you aren't or haven't been on the biz committee, it can sometimes seem a bit unusual because you're more used to functioning in that legislative capacity where you do have very broad discretion and aren't so restricted by the capacity of acting in a court-like or judicial capacity. So I wanted to say it seemed messy and it seemed awkward, but for those of us, the attorney and I, and Mr. Fussy and the audience perhaps, it was good government in action and good policy making. And the sausage is not always pretty to be seen made, but I appreciate being a witness to it. Thank you.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, President Payne. I just hope that this decision does not appear to be motivated by some, the name J.P. Morgan, which they are the applicant, but it kept coming up as a reason about how we make a decision on this. And I'm just really concerned that they are going to see it the same way. And, you know, when we are making quasi-judicial decisions, and I have been around for a long time in this process, that it gives the applicant another opportunity, particularly when they are denied, to take legal action if we don't have the findings of facts to support it. Thank you.
This item's been disposed. Councilmember Chowdhury, did you,
I just because I don't want us to be in legal risk as a body, I think it's important to state my motivation. I think this body's motivation is in supporting the findings of fact of staff, right? That's where it was originally. We're going back, we're looking at that, and we're having a quasi-judicial discussion. This could be any applicant within the city of business, local, corporate, doesn't matter to me. What we're falling back on is the findings of fact from our staff.
Okay, with that, we are moving on to our next report in the proper order, which is the Climate and Infrastructure Committee, which will be presented by that committee's chair, Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The C&I Committee is bringing forward 7 items. Item 1 is project approval and adopting special assessments for the Pennhurst Residential Street Resurfacing Project. Item 2 is ordering the work to proceed and adopting special assessments for the Franklin Avenue construction. Item 3 is authorizing a cooperative agreement with the Met Council for cost participation in the Highway 55 BRT study. Item 4 is authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources for the Local Trails Connections Program. Item 5 is authorizing the submittal of a grant application to the State Department of Commerce for geothermal planning. Item 6 is approving a legislative directive requesting information and data related to the Nicollet Mall pedestrianization. Item 7 is adopting findings of fact and recommendation of a denial of the stormwater charge credit application submitted by Lakewood Cemetery Association. And I'll move approval of all 7 items.
Councilmember Cashman has moved approval of the committee's report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you. I just have a question about number 6. And it talks about converting Nicollet Mall to pedestrian, bicycle, and non-motorized vehicle use. Does that include like electric wheelchairs and scooters? I'm not sure what non-motorized means.
Councilmember Cashman.
I think that's a really great question. Sorry, we'll ask the city attorney here to answer that.
Madam City Attorney.
Council President, council members, I would interpret that to this is about vehicles. It would not apply to, accessibility requirements and other needs.
Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the committee's report.
Councilmember Rainville is absent. Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Chugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries and the report is adopted. The next report is from the Committee of the Whole, which will be presented by that committee's chair, Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee of the Whole is bringing forward 3 items for approval. Item number 1 is approving 5 appointments to the Capital Long Range Improvement Committee. Item number 2 is approving the settlement of all claims for city attorney's fees and costs asserted against the city in litigation matter of Pro-Life Action Ministries versus the City of Minneapolis. And item number 3 is a legal settlement update legislative directive. I move approval of all 3 items.
Councilmember Chavez has moved approval of the committee's report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Palmisano.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank Patrick McDougall for his willingness to serve on CLIC as one of my 13th ward appointments. When my planned appointment withdrew at the very last moment, Patrick stepped up and volunteered to take on this important role. Patrick loves to really dig in on a topic and look at things without any preconceived notions. These are habits that will serve him well in this role on CLIC, and I just wanted to mention it. Thank you.
You for that. Before I call the roll on this committee's report, Councilmember Rainville, would you like to be your vote recorded for the climate and infrastructure report?
Please, thank you.
And would you like to vote in the affirmative?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clerk. All right, seeing no further discussion on the committee of the whole report, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and the report is adopted. The final report will be offered by our Public Health and Safety Committee, which will be presented by that committee's chair, Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Public Health and Safety Committee is bringing forward 2 items. The first item is a statewide health improvement partnership grant, and item number 2 is authorizing a revenue contract with the University of Minnesota for bomb detection at the Huntington Bank Stadium. I'll move approval of both these items.
Councilmember Chavez has moved approval of the committee's report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vito.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osman.
Aye.
Vice President Shugtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and the report is adopted. Thank you. That completes the report of all of our standing committees. The next order of business is notice of ordinance introductions. We have one notice today from Councilmember Rainville, who is giving notice of his intent to introduce at the next meeting an ordinance amending Title 15, Chapter 389 of the Code of Ordinances, amending provisions related to outdoor stadium events. Are there any questions on this notice? Seeing none, that notice is hereby given and no further action is required at this time. The next order of business is the introduction and referral calendar. Our only introduction today is from me and Vice President Shugtai, who moved to introduce, give first reading to, and refer to the Committee of the Whole for a public hearing to be held on March 25th, an ordinance amending the Administration Code to update provisions related to council staff and policy, research, and oversight functions. Is there any discussion on this introduction? Seeing none, I move to approve this introduction. The second is assumed as Vice President is my co-author. And I will recognize Vice President Shugtai.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry I was a little late jumping into queue, but as we are getting ready to refer this item to committee and set a public hearing for March 25th, 2025, I see our new city auditor, Robert Timmerman, in the audience today, who sat through a very long discussion on land use today. I've had a chance to just have some conversations preliminarily with him as he is onboarding into his new capacity. And since you are here, and I really appreciate that, I wanted to, just note that I think it'd be really beneficial for the body to receive, just some communication from you, whether that is prior to this public hearing or for you to be prepared at this public hearing to speak to, whether you've had a chance to review this ordinance and what your perspective is on on it, any pieces of feedback you may have to share. The reason I wanted to make you aware of that now is I just wanted you to have as much of a runway prior to March 25th, 2025 to get that information communicated to us. And, I think it is just really important to be hearing your perspective as this the outcome of this proposed ordinance would be, removing pretty significant resources from the department that you are the head of. So that's all, Mr. President.
Welcome, Mr. Timmerman. Did you want to speak to that in any brief way?
Yes, thank you, Council President and Vice President and City Council. I will do just that. I will provide in writing to the City Clerk's office as well as the City Council any comments or thoughts that I have related to the ordinance language as well as previous legal memos that have been presented to the Council. I've had an opportunity to talk with about half of the council members at this point and quite a bit with the city clerk and city attorney. And so I do have some thoughts on how to move forward, and I do have some exciting proposals to bring to you in the coming months as well. So, Council President, if you don't mind, I would like to also share that the RFP that we had previously informed the council about for the after action review of the Lucier and Mattori cases has posted today. It posted about an hour ago, and so I just wanted to take an opportunity to share that with the council and let you know that that is out for vendors to respond to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, if there's no further discussion, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the referral of this public hearing.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osmond.
Aye.
Vice President Shughtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That motion carries. And the next order of business is resolutions. We had 2 honorary resolutions as presented at the beginning of this meeting. Are there any questions or comments from council members? May I have a motion to adopt those resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vita.
Aye.
Councilmember Ellison.
Aye.
Councilmember Koski.
Aye.
Councilmember Wansley.
Aye.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Aye.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Aye.
Councilmember Cashman.
Aye.
Councilmember Osmond.
Aye.
Vice President Shughtai.
Aye.
President Payne.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That carries and those resolutions are adopted. The next order of business is announcements. Are there any announcements from council members? Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. I do want to announce a note of gratitude to 2 brave officers out of the 2nd Precinct. They responded to a call of a baby not breathing. They stabilized the baby and got that into the ambulance. While they're back at the station having lunch, the hospital called to announce that the baby had fentanyl in them, which changed the course of the investigation. They realized that the baby had a twin and was still in the house. They rushed back to there, calling an ambulance along the way. When they got to the front door, the 2nd baby was not breathing. They administered CPR and Narcan, which is very tricky for a child that young, and got that baby to the hospital, saving that baby's life. They saved 2 babies. Those are Officers Fuchs and Officers Perry out of 2nd Precinct. I thank them for saving those young babies' lives.
Seeing no one else in queue, thank you for that, Councilmember Rainville. That completes all items on the agenda, and seeing no further business to come before us, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.